Today's news, strange pecking order of the vulnerable in Korean subways.
There's a lot of information in this particular article, so I suggest you click the link below if you'd like to read all about it. But the gist of it is, a Korean lady, 31 years old, just doesn't feel safe riding public transportation in Seoul anymore. The subway, the bus system, etc.
I think that this article has some basis in truth, but I think that this is just a small fraction of what's actually going on, which is actually pretty good, I think. Most of the time, riding on the subway is very comfortable, and there are priority seats on the end of trains for elderly people and also for pregnant people. This also exists on buses. There are certain seats that are allotted and designated for people who need to sit down.
It is in fact a very good situation overall, except for the amount of people, because I can't even tell you the amount of times you and I have been together, I've traveled on the subway by myself, when I've seen somebody give up their seat for an older person or a pregnant person. Usually it's an older person, but countless times I've seen that happen. So when I read about this, I can understand where this lady is coming from, because if I was a woman and I was pregnant, say 6 or 7 months pregnant, and you're becoming more fragile because you just want the health of your baby to be perfectly okay, going on the subway is not the best decision. But also, it's a good situation compared to other places.
True.
For sure.
True.
They really do try and enforce the law there for this sort of thing.
And people are generally very understanding in these types of situations. I do know, I have seen it from time to time, that people are just like, they're in their own zone, and they're, you know, there are some people out there that are rude and that refuse to give up their seats. Most of the time that's not happening. If you see somebody who's overly pregnant, or if you see somebody with a little kid, you know, a lot of times people will give up their seat to let mom have a seat.
That's right.
Or to let grandpa or grandma have a seat.
If you're in Seoul and you've ever taken the subway system, if you're in Seoul, you have. Unless you're rolling and all you have is money for limousines. So say you're in Seoul Station and you go take the dark blue line down right as soon as you enter the subway system. It doesn't matter if it's 8 a.m. or 12 noon or 4 p.m. or 9 p.m. It's completely packed with people all the time, getting ready to get on, going either direction, and especially going into the city towards Dongdaemun. You're gonna wait, if you don't get down there as soon as a train comes and then leaves and you don't get on that train, if you're waiting for the next train, you're gonna wait in a line of 10, 15 people all the way down from the beginning to the end. People are just lining up, and a train comes every 3 to 5 minutes, and yet when you get on, that train is always full with people. It's dangerous if you're pregnant, if you ask me. It's dangerous sort of in general, because everybody's standing like this. Okay, and that's just one subway line. If you've ever taken the green line, which runs east-west in the middle of Seoul, forget about it. You've never felt like a human sardine in your life until you ride that line. Anybody living in Seoul, comment below what's been your experience taking the subway in the middle of rush hour traffic.
Okay, rush hour I would say is terrible, and it doesn't matter who you are, it's terrible. And there's no way you're even going to get to priority seats most of the time if it's during rush hour. And I've actually had the experience where I tried to give up my seat before to like an older man, and he's like, no, stay seated.
Right. Unless he's super old, if he's in his 70s or 80s, and then they'll take it. They're actually looking for somebody to give up their seat, and people are very cognizant of that.
The only thing that I would totally understand is if somebody is early on in their pregnancy and they don't look pregnant, how something like this could happen, because the situation, one of the situations in the article that's mentioned is that an older gentleman is like, what are you doing sitting in the priority seats? You should move, because those seats are for old people like me.
Yep.
And I believe in the article she wasn't that far along in her pregnancy. So I can understand if a young woman is sitting in these seats that are reserved mostly for the elderly, how an older man might misunderstand.
I understand a lot of you watching probably aren't in Korea, but some of you are and a lot of you aren't. But all of you, what do you think about this situation, and what are some things that we didn't talk about that you think could help with pregnant women getting on a packed subway or bus?
Yeah, let us know.
And click the like button while you're down there, and thanks for subscribing, you guys. That's it, we're out of here. Hasta luego.
Bye.